In another phone call to NPR on the morning of February 28th, Betsy Liley, Senior Director of Institutional Giving, explains to the Muslim Education Action Center about George Soros deciding not to use on-air credits in exchange for his donation of $1.8 million. Betsy Liley went on to explain this was not the first time George Soros' Open Society Institute had donated to NPR. In fact, the public will learn for the first time that George Soros' Open Society Foundation has donated to NPR in the past, starting as many as 15 years ago.
Some of our donors have chosen not to use the on-air credits, so George Soros and the Open Society Institute gave us $1.8 million, and they have decided not to use on-air credits because of what's happening in Congress.
I mean, is that the first time he donated to NPR, or?
No,
Okay.
but he has. I think the first gift was within the first year he set up the foundation, which was 10 or 15 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But it was a different political situation. The current events were a little different, and so it went through. I was not here, but I think it went. There wasn't a press hullabaloo. I mean, the Open Society Institute was getting, the conservatives on some of the websites were having people call his foundation. The press was calling, and so it became kind of, they got roped into the Juan Williams thing, which they didn't feel like they needed to be.
Right.
So,
Well, I mean, I can certainly understand because we, if they found out that we were donating, in particular, as I mentioned to you, some of our members are also parts of other groups that conservatives love to attack, whether it's the Muslim Brotherhood or CARE or the Muslim Students Association, etc. And I mean, if Glenn Beck found out these things, he would. I mean, well, it would probably be rather unfortunate for NPR in addition to us. So.
Yeah.
We decided to call George Soros' Open Society Foundation to confirm that donations were made to NPR in the past.
Communications office.
Hi, yes. Who am I speaking with?
Kritika?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm James O'Keefe with the Project Veritas, and I have a question. We're working on a story involving NPR regarding, has Open Society Institute given any money to NPR in the past, starting 10 or 15 years ago?
You know what? I would suggest that you email that to me. Can you email me, and I will pass it along?
Aside from the $1.8 million last year?
Not to my knowledge, but I wouldn't really be the right person to ask, so if you want to email me, I'll pass it on.
Is there someone I could call that might know the answer to the question?
I don't know offhand, so if you could email me, that would be probably the best thing to do.
Okay, what's your email address?
It's K Bansal, B like boy, A-N like Nancy, S like Sam, A-L like Laura, at Soros, SOROSNY.org.
Okay. And is this stuff available on the website in information?
It should be. I mean, all of our grant information is available on the website, but I will pass along your email to someone, and they will get back to you.
Could they get back to me today?
Yes. I will try and make sure that happens.
Okay. Does the Open Society Institute ever donate through other institutions?
I don't believe so, no.
Intermediaries? She hung up the phone. The employee hung up the phone on us and did not return our email, so we called back. This time, Simon Templar called.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Hello? Am I speaking with Ms. Bansal? Hello?
The Open Society Foundation hung up the phone on us again. We tried looking at the Open Society website to determine if donations were made in the past, but the only evidence of a donation from George Soros was the $1.8 million donation this past year. It would seem that NPR and George Soros have some explaining to do, and although NPR would claim they, quote, repeatedly refused, unquote, the $5 million donation from the Muslim Education Action Center, Betsy Liley explained that she was excited about the donation and would continue to take additional steps to accept it.
Well, thank you. I want to be, I'm being very procedural here, but we are excited about this, and it's very, very generous.
The board had actually, as I mentioned, the board had already set aside a fair amount of money from our meeting in January for NPR, and so they were very close to a decision, and they've actually already approved it.
Oh, wow. Wow. Wow.
Hello, I'm back. That's
Is
actually
that better?
better. Quite a bit, yes.
Good. So how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay. So I don't know. Were you part of the board meetings this last week, or is it?
In and out a little bit, but not like Vivian. Vivian basically doesn't get to sit down for, you know.
I understand.
And I don't go to the dinners and the kind of stuff that she does, so.
Oh, well, I'm
I
glad
mean, it
we're
goes into the, yeah. No, it was great that we could see. Ron was in for the meeting, so after we saw you guys, that was about the last time I saw him until Friday afternoon.
So, I mean, is the board on board? No pun intended, but, I mean...
This didn't go to the board.
Oh, okay. But Vivian was briefed.
Vivian knows about our meeting.
Okay.
As my email indicated, I think for her to feel, for us to prep her appropriately for the next meeting, it would be great to have some more information from you guys. But Ron and she talked, and I shared notes from our meeting about kind of where you are and your interest. And so I think for us to do kind of our due diligence, it would also be helpful to get some of the background information. And I know Mr. Is it Zogby? Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Is out of the country, so that would be helpful for us just to set up an account for you in our system if we get to that point. So
An account? What do you mean?
we track it. We track our donors, so we know. We just keep records, financial records, but to enter you in the system, I'm sure there's a mailing address on the website which I could get, but there's some basic information we like to have to who's the board members are on the website, so I can get that. But just for our own database, it's internal to us. Does that make sense?
Yes. Now, I mean, you mentioned that to speak with Vivian, she would want to have more information for the talk. I mean, it wasn't really going to be an extended talk. I was actually going to congratulate her because the board had actually, as I mentioned, the board had already set aside a fair amount of money from our meeting in January for NPR, and so they were very close to a decision, and they've actually already approved it.
Oh, wow. Well, literally, I even if it had been a brief talk, I don't have her calendar, but we don't try and nothing really gets to her during those few days. But I'd love to set up a time for you to talk with her. Now, you're back in Houston?
Yes.
I'm trying to get time on her calendar, 10 minutes for me, this week to bring her up to speed on a bunch of different things, and also have reached out to her assistant to try and get time for you. Again, we were in pretty regular contact last week about that. So would you like to speak with her by phone? Are you the right contact or someone else?
Yes, they were. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Because I think that we were going to meet with your father first?
Well, originally that was going to be the case, yes. But,
yeah.
I mean, since
I'm happy.
I'm the one who met with you, and as well as Amir, of course, they've decided to just keep me in contact.
Oh, that's great. That's fabulous. So why don't I see what her what her schedule looks like this week and try and find, and you think 10 minutes is the right amount of time?
I mean, it would be very brief.
Okay.
I mean, I know she's busy, but it's not
This
going
week,
to be an interrogation of her or anything. So.
No. This week, everything changes.
Okay.
The board meeting, it's pretty intense, but now, and I think she's here. There's some things going on with CPB, but I think she's in Washington. Sometimes she's on the road. So let me ring over to Lori and see what would work. Did you share your number in one of your emails?
My number? My direct number?
Telephone number to ring you back at, or should I just email you?
You can just email me. I mean, I generally don't hand out my cell number, but
that's fine. I'll just email you back and see if we can find a time for you to talk.
Okay. I mean, it's like we were actually just going to send. We kind of do this thing, particularly the first time recipients, where we send some of the interns over with a check, and they like to do it because, well, in the end, it's all about the youth. So.
Yes. Well, so when are you thinking about that?
I mean, any time this week would work.
Okay. Well, let me see. That would be great for her to be here.
And I mean, we don't want any press or anything like that, but they just kind of they take a picture for our office and that sort of thing.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you. I want to be. I'm being very procedural here, but we are excited about this, and it's very, very generous. Let me ask you. There was a question I was going to ask you about. We didn't really talk about some of our donors. We provide on-air credits, so your name is on air. And I think you all said that you were not interested in publicity, but we didn't really talk about that. Is that something that is of interest to you?
I mean, somebody else might be interested in publicity, but I don't think our organization would be, no.
Okay.
I mean, we generally, go to efforts to avoid it, actually, so.
Okay. I wanted to be, in fairness, we didn't really discuss it, and so I wanted to bring it up very specifically and see. So.
How do on-air credits work?
If you listen to us, you'll hear something that says, like, the John T. and Catherine D. MacArthur Foundation.
Okay.
And it's a 10-second, little tagline. You can't really make any calls to action. It's restricted by federal law what you can say in them. Some of our donors have chosen not to use the on-air credits. So George Soros and the Open Society Institute gave us $1.8 million.
Mm-hmm.
And they have decided not to use on-air credits because of what's happening in Congress. Other people...
How do those relate?
Credits. Pardon me?
How do those relate? What's happening in
Well,
Congress and George Soros?
Well, in the fall, when Juan Williams was fired, a number of the conservative press linked the George Soros gift and the Juan Williams firing to each other, and suggested that this was the liberals run amok, which they're separate things. They have nothing to do with each other, and Mr. Soros has, no one here has even met Mr. Soros. So, but in light of that, his foundation chose not to use their on-air credits because they felt like it would just add more fuel to the fire. That was an unnecessary fire for them. They don't need the recognition. So I bring it up just as an example of kind of choices that different people make.
I understand. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me too much. I don't think many people have actually met Mr. Soros. I mean, is that the first time he donated to NPR, or? No,
okay. But he has. I think the first gift was within the first year he set up the foundation, which was 10 or 15 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But it was a different political situation. The current events were a little different, and so it went through. I was not here, but I think it went there wasn't a press hullabaloo. I mean, the Open Society Institute was getting, the conservatives on some of the websites were having people call his foundation. The press was calling, and so it became kind of, they got roped into the Juan Williams thing, which they didn't feel like they needed to be.
Right.
So,
Well, I mean, I can certainly understand because we, if they found out that we were donating, in particular, as I mentioned to you, some of our members are also parts of other groups that conservatives love to attack, whether it's the Muslim Brotherhood or CARE or the Muslim Students Association, etc.
mm-hmm.
I mean, if Glenn Beck found out these things, he would. I mean, it would probably be rather unfortunate for NPR in addition to us. So
Yeah.
He would
So
take
it's a
it down.
consideration, but it is something we do offer our philanthropic partners, which is why I wanted to just mention it.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, so you're going to put me through to, I have trouble with her last name, but Lori?
Lori O. What I'm going to do is call
Lori
Lori O.
O.
I rarely get Lori. We just call her Lori O. And she signed her email to you, Lori O.
Lori O. Okay.
We just call her Lori O because it's OPTOME or something like that if you ever get to her voicemail.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Yes, it is a mouthful. So what I will do is call her and see what's possible for Vivian as far as being in the office and having some time available, and then I will email you and let you know what that looks like as far as time, and then we can. I'd also like to be here to kind of bring them upstairs and meet them and show them around a little bit if you think they'd be interested in seeing NPR.
Oh, certainly. I mean, I imagine that originally Mr. Schiller had suggested that I think Vivian might actually be willing to give somebody a tour. I think that would be excessive use of her time, but
oh no.
Okay, well,
that's certainly we're not trying to say that.
Certainly for our interns, we wouldn't need to occupy your CEO's time, but okay. So I guess I look forward to speaking with Lori.
All right, and it may just be me being back in touch, but I'm going to ring Lori right now and see if I can raise her. I rarely get her. She rarely answers the phone just because of the way her life is, but I'll try and see if I can find some time and then be back in touch.
How is her life?
Pardon me?
You said the way her life is. Well, how is her life?
She goes about 70 miles an hour. So the amount of emails and stuff that goes into her office to support Vivian, since I've been here in 6 months, I think she's answered the phone once when I've called. So
really? Okay.
Yeah. So I emailed her last week, but I'm going to call and just put another dollop of urgency on it, and then I will be back in touch.
Okay, so she doesn't work down the hall from you or anything like that?
I work in a building around the corner.
Okay.
I'm at 7th and
Oh,
High.
right, because
I'm not in the main building.
Is it the NPR Foundation that has a different building, or the development department, I believe?
We've outgrown our main building, so in the building I'm in, we have legal, finance, human resources, development, distribution, production. And then in a third building, we have sponsorship, some of our member services, research, and some other units. The main building is primarily the news department and some of the other services that were small enough to stay in that building. But we're building a new building about 11 blocks north of where we are, so that we can all once again be in the same building.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I look forward to hearing from Lori. And I mean, again, like this isn't really like even a telephone meeting or anything. It's just we wanted to call to congratulate, and so it would just be a few minutes of her time. So hopefully, it's not something difficult to schedule.
No. I don't think it should be.
Okay.
So I'll be back in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.